Welcome into episode 103 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That is Tyler Siskey.
What it is.
Former Alabama personnel director, former Ole Miss recruiting director, former South Alabama assistant coach.
Also an academic and eligibility expert.
Oh,
I didn't know if you knew that or not.
I have heard. I've heard about your battles in the internet world. I'm having some battles in the internet world today as well. It's good. It's always good. It's always good to have a fight here and there. Yes, the sound is still there.
You heard it?
Aware of? Oh yeah, I hear it. Aware of the sound. I do not need emails telling me that there's a sound. I'm aware. I do appreciate people looking out for me. The people that have
Appreciate the heads up, though.
people that have, in all seriousness, I've had some people send suggestions and things of that nature.
Can I ask you a question? Have you gotten an email that said unplug it and plug it back in yet?
Variations of that email, and I have
And you have
and
done
I
that.
have done that on numerous occasions. We're brought to you by Rain Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, and zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
Dude, I'm rolling with a kiwi blend right here. And I'm glad I said this or thought about this. I meant to say this the other day. I'm happy to announce that if you are in the Oxford, Mississippi area, which we have a lot of obviously listeners close, they have just received a massive shipment of Rainstorm
Okay.
at the Kroger here in town.
Okay.
So if you're coming in for games or you're in town, out of town, and they're on sale
Oh,
at Kroger for $1.99, which is basically $1 cheaper than what it'll get you at the gas station. So you can load up on the Rainstorm. They have all the flavors. And now, because Bob was telling me this too, the way they classify the drinks, like Celsius is a competitor, right? So they put those type of drinks are closer to the pharmacy instead of in the drink section. That's a Kroger thing.
okay.
So if you come in the Kroger here, they have a huge, pallets and pallets of it by the frozen food section.
Oh,
in the front by the pharmacy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Over in when you walk in all the way to
all
the left,
like you're going to pick up a prescription.
like you're going to get like the protein bars and
Yes.
powders and stuff.
Yes, that's where it's located. And they have every flavor, $1.99. Y'all go in there and buy them out. It's
Absolutely.
good stuff.
Absolutely. Got a little tennis going on in the background, in case you're wondering. A little U.S. Open quarterfinals. I'm always blown away by the miracle that is Novak Djokovic.
He is a modern work of medicine.
He's a modern miracle. It's a miracle that, this is a guy that, thank goodness he was protected in previous years from this particular tournament, because just imagine what would have happened to him had he been exposed to COVID. I just can't even imagine what would have happened to Novak Djokovic. He wouldn't be playing right now against Fritz.
Is that Willie Fritz?
That is not Willie Fritz, but it's another. I can't think of his first name. He's a very good player, one of the top 10 players in the country, in the world, maybe the best player in America, and he just cannot get past Novak.
A little tough time getting it going today, huh?
Just tough in general to beat Novak Djokovic. But again, the big story with Novak is just the miracle that he is. It's incredible. It's incredible. He chose not to get the vaccine. I guess it's probably saved him was a mask. Probably did it. Mask probably got him. Because look at him. Look at him. Look at Novak. Guys, he's 6'3", probably 190 pounds. Probably got like 3% body fat.
Hey, do you know when
and he made it. But you know why he made it? He made it because they wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't.
If he'd made it in.
If he'd gotten into the U.S. and played in this tournament a year ago, obviously something bad would have happened.
All right. Before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by
Biden. Screw him. Take me off if you want to. I don't care. I'm done. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Not doing it anymore. Not doing it again. Never doing it again.
I feel so much.
There will be no compliance this time. None. Zero. And if you if you live in a place where they're going to send your kids back to school in a mask, and you send your kid to school in a mask, you're a bad parent.
All right. Before we get started with football, let me ask you a question. You know what really bothers me a little bit? I come from the doctor. I have a doctorate in common sense.
Mm-hmm.
because football coaches, we're not very intelligent people.
See, here's my thing about football coaches and intelligence. I've met football coaches who I think are very intelligent, and I've met football coaches who I didn't think were very intelligent at all. I've met people
And
in
I'm
my
okay
field.
with that, but
I've met
signal
people
them out,
Yeah.
and say this person is a dumbass. Don't use the all inclusive word.
Rarely, I'll leave it at that. I could say the same thing about media. I could say the same thing about educators. I could say the same thing about business people. Probably if I walked
like human beings.
Yeah, if I walked into a room full of accountants, I bet I could find one that doesn't have much common sense. And I bet I could find one who's an absolute genius. And probably everything in between.
Yeah, so I get accused of me being funny and pretend I'm dumb on here. People think I'm not very smart, which I'm not. But anyway, what bothers me a little bit with my common sense is people that think that the government is giving you the absolute truth and best, whatever. It's your job as a human being to question it. And I always just go back to this. I'm 45 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the early 60s, we had this thing called the Cuban Missile Crisis. Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. Well, John F. Kennedy was president.
He was.
Okay.
1962.
I
1962, I believe.
I always take myself back to when you see these videos of the government putting out videos telling teachers to put, if in case of a nuclear missile strike, please go under your desk and cover your head.
Yeah, that's going to do it.
Hey, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, like, you know what I mean?
Well,
like,
if you're under the desk, the missile's going to go over you.
Oh no! Yes.
But if you're standing up,
you're done.
Well, it's kind of
you're
kind of like
you're done.
I mean,
well, they don't care about what you think because if you're not going to come out of that and go, "Hey, you lied to me, man," because you're going to be toast. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care. So I always say that's the. I think it's our duty to question. All right, let's get to some football. Last night, didn't really think when we left here yesterday. I didn't think we were going to be able to talk about this game a whole lot. Clemson versus Duke happened last night.
You were kind of hinting that you thought Duke could pull this off.
Look, I'll admit it. I didn't know. I can't sit there and look at you and go, I felt like they were going to win the game. They just have either won games, like since Mike Elko has been the head coach, they've either won games. I think their biggest loss last year was by 7 points. They had it at home, first game of the season. I was like, hey, the spread was, I had it at 12. I was like, let's take a shot because there's nothing. I probably wouldn't have bet it if it was just in the regular slate of Saturday games. So I can't sit here and take credit that even though I did say it and I bet it, like I had some overwhelming confident feeling.
Right.
But boy,
is the bigger takeaway how good Duke looked or how kind of meh, for lack of a better word, Clemson looked?
I think the truth is probably in the middle. Look, Clemson moved the football, but they just couldn't finish drives, which is part of the game. I mean, that's a critical part of the game.
Yeah.
Where I thought things were different than they've been in the past is Clemson doesn't have the dudes that it's had at the skill positions. And they've been very slowly last couple of years.
Yeah.
And so, last year their defense was so unbelievable. It kept them in every game, and they almost had kind of what Alabama and Georgia are probably going to do this year. They're going to be so good on defense that they don't have to be perfect. But this year, the defense is good, still good, but it's not as – I mean, it's just that one notch below where they can give up points.
Yeah.
And Cade Klubnik, quarterback, is a very talented young man. But let's repeat what I said. Young. That was his second start last night. Made a lot of questionable decisions, threw the ball into coverage several times. I know I stopped counting. I think it was like 3 or 4 in the first quarter and a half of the game. He's got some fundamental issues. He rolls up on his front leg, creates a straight front leg, and he sells balls, which is going to be an issue. Like, don't be high over the middle. I mean, don't be high. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a free safety's dream.
Yeah, the curl zone to the curl, like Don Jacobs was, I GA'd for Don Jacobs. He was one of the most influential people in my coaching career, teaching me actual X's and O's. Don Jacobs used to tell me, he goes, you know what's behind every curl route? A corner. So keep the ball down. You don't want to sell it from basically the curl zone inside. That was an issue. Running back, he is a very good runner. He runs hard, but he's not super dynamic. I know he was rated a gazillion star and all that out of high school. I just think they're down a little bit on offense. I think with that being said, their only touchdown last night came off a muff punt. Now, they moved the ball. They had a lot of yards, but it was just a very odd game. I think I saw this stat. I think since Dabo Swinney has been the head coach, I saw this somewhere this morning. He's 50-something and 0 as a head coach if they run for 100 and run for 200 and throw for 200, and they lost the game. And in like the history of Clemson football, they're like 100 and something and 108 maybe and 0. And if they've ran for 200 and threw for 200, and they lost the game last night, it was just very weird. With that being said, what Duke has done, and what Mike Elko has done
in a very short period of time.
I mean, immediate.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's in his second year, won 9 games last year. Really under the radar. People didn't really. I mean, he got some love at the end with a bowl game win, but those bowl game wins don't get the love that they used to.
Sure.
Won 9 games, went 9-4 with a bowl game win. And then this year, come out firing, and you go beat a top 10, again, preseason rankings, but you beat a top 10 team. I mean, that says a lot of things, because I don't think the public understands how hard it is to get players at Duke, at Northwestern, at Stanford, at Vanderbilt. Those places are very difficult to get kids in school.
What I noticed about them last night, and I didn't watch the whole game. I watched probably, I don't know, a little over a quarter. I just noticed, 2 things stuck out. One, the atmosphere there. I've watched Duke games before on TV where it was like, man, it's kind of like going to church. It just wasn't. They were waiting for basketball season to roll around. They had a big crowd there. Students were excited. You saw them storm the field at the end.
Tom Luganbill sent me a video, I guess, that I'll show it to you afterwards. He sent me a video that just the ESPN crew camera had that he took from them today. He was getting bounced around like a ping pong ball. He was shoving dudes trying to get to the interview. It was wild.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
I saw that, and then I saw just what I saw was a really well-coached football team. They were pretty disciplined. They were very physical. Team that sort of knew its identity, which is something you don't always get that early in a tenure, but they've got it. That was fun. It was a good night, a big night for them. All I noticed with Clemson is what you just referenced, is Clemson's just not as talented as they have been in the past. They had a run. They had a hell of a run. They had a run where they were one of the top 2-3 programs in the country for a little while. Certainly a top 5, top 10 program for a good while. They did not look like that team anymore. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I saw North Carolina earlier in the weekend beating South Carolina. And obviously I've heard a lot about Florida State and what they did to LSU. Clemson did not look like a team that could compete with those teams.
I don't think they have to play them, but I think they would struggle with somebody like Louisville too. I think that'd be a bad matchup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Louisville can score. I don't think this is it, boss. I think they're going to drop some. And look, I like Dabo. I know there's a lot of, I have a tough time. Everybody's like, oh, and somebody says it in the chat over here. Should Dabo retire? Should he resign? He's going to quit, do all this stuff. Everybody likes to hate on people who win. Like, the guy took him to the mountaintop. He's a really good human being, whether you like him or you don't think it's like, it's not your cup of tea. You may not want to hang out with him, but he is a great human being that's done great things for a lot of people. Oh, and by the way, he's taken them to the mountaintop twice. So I think he is, pulling the plug and do all that stuff and trying to run them out. And they're not going to be happy, but I think fandom needs to take a chill pill here and take a round around the block and cool off a little bit so cooler heads can prevail, because he's done a really good job, and he's not like he's not working. You know what I'm saying? The guy tries his ass off, and he's a good person and a good football coach. So I'm not on the Dabo hate train. I disagree with that.
Everything I've heard about him is that he's very, very genuine. You and I probably have a mutual friend who interviewed up there, and no, for a position. And
okay,
he came.
Something else.
He came out of his vacation a day early, left his vacation a day early to spend a day with this guy. Not on camera. Nobody knew.
He's very genuine.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He said he was struck by how genuine he was.
And what you see is what you get. He's not going to change.
Yeah.
And, people like, oh, if you don't like it and you don't think it's cool, that's on you.
He's
But
probably going to have to change his approach to the portal. He's certainly going to have to, or he's going to have to think about changing some of the rhetoric that he said about players and NIL and all that. Hey, look, this is where we are today.
I'll repeat this. We haven't said this in a while. I should have said this the other day. It's not about taking guys out of the portal. It's about taking the right guys out of the portal.
Well, I mean, like you look at a Keon Coleman, for example.
Yeah.
I mean,
them dudes.
Clemson could have used a Keon Coleman. And I don't think they've really been involved in those types of portal guys.
Yeah, but you just to go take a guy out of the portal.
No. You just got to take impact guys.
Like,
you got to get
at
impact
that
guys.
level where what they're trying to do, which is compete for a national title year in, year out.
Yeah.
You got to go get the Keon Colemans. Now, they're not ever going to get them, but like, that's where people get the portal confused. They say Caleb Williams is a portal guy. No, he was tied to Lincoln Riley.
Yeah. That's different.
If Lincoln Riley didn't leave, he wasn't going to leave.
Right. That's totally different.
And then what Deion's done at Colorado, the guys that are the dudes like Travis Hunter, he wasn't going to leave Jackson State if Deion was still there. You know what I mean? Like, those were tied to coaches. Ones that tied to coaches, elite players, like Jordan Addison leaving would be a portal guy. Kawan Coleman, big-time portal guy. Bear Alexander, portal guy. Like, those are the guys that you got to go – I mean, you got to pay for and you got to go get. Sam Hartman, portal guy that aren't tied to coaches. But he does not – that's his philosophy. And I'll tell him this. I'll say this much. I admire him more for sticking to his guns and believing in what he's done, and it gets him there.
All right, let's get into your SEC power rankings.
You want to start with there?
The people have wanted you to give your SEC power rankings after week 1. You've watched all these teams. Yep. I haven't, so I will just I will defer to you at this point.
All right, SEC power rankings after week number 1. This is opinion only. You will not find this on any other media network besides the old McCready and Siskey podcast.
Yeah, nobody else has power rankings.
Yeah, nobody ever does it. Though, let's start with the West. Coming in at number 1 in the West is, shocker, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Okay.
And I'm going to spoil it in a minute. I think they're really good, dude. I think, like I said the other day, they're really good on defense. They look like they've looked in the past on defense. I like Milroe. I think he looked good the other day. They do have to he is the playmaker. They got to find something in the receiving core to give him some explosive plays. Running backs will be fine. They got to create some explosive runs besides him. But I like Alabama. I think they lean on people. Number 2 in the West is the LSU Tigers.
But they lost by 3 touchdowns.
I do not give a shit. As I made sure all of you haters on TikTok, as I told you last night, I don't care. I think LSU is good. I think they got everybody's like, oh, well, their secondary can't cover. Well, look who they were covering. It wasn't like they wasn't there. I mean, they just had the Jolly Green Giant dunking on them, trying to get the guy. They had a really going against a first-round pick, and they had a bunch of them. Florida State had receivers galore, and they're also going against an elite quarterback. They're not going to see that for a while. I think they are the most complete team. I think they can. I love what they do schematically on offense. They truly create problems. And what was funny is people look at the score and they're like, oh, Florida State beat the shit out of them. LSU's not any good. Well, they don't realize that the game was a lot closer than the scoreboard. The one thing I am disappointed in LSU, like I said the other day, is I thought they shut it down at the end. No coach wants to see that. I guarantee you that pissed off Brian Kelly more than losing the game was how they kind of shut it down and basically just didn't really – I shouldn't say they didn't try. They gave minimal effort is probably the right word. Towards the end of the game and let them score a couple more times. But I'm going to say LSU 2. Number 3 in the West is not my favorite team, but for sure Chase Parham's favorite team.
Oh, A&M.
The Texas A&M Gig'em Aggies. Look, they look really good on offense. Like I said the other day, I thought they actually looked better on offense than they did on defense. They scored touchdowns in the first 5 possessions. Were able to push the ball vertically. They have talented receivers. They know what they're doing. Scheme was really good. I think they can be a problem. All right, and I'm going to cop out here on this 4 because I can't really separate really 4 through 7 yet. You could tell one of them's got to finish last. I do not think that either Alabama, LSU, or Texas A&M is finishing last. I don't think that's going to happen in this division.
I agree with that.
What I don't know is any of these other teams I'm about to talk about could finish last. They also could finish 4th, and some of them could probably even push for 2nd. All right. Between Arkansas, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, those 4 teams, that's who's left in the West. I think you could just shake them up and throw it. That won't get used against me. You can shake them up and throw it against the wall, and one of them will come out, one of them won't. I see positives and negatives on all of them. Every one of them has questions for me. I want to see Arkansas get stretched vertically versus better competition. I think Auburn has some offensive concerns as far as when they face really good defenses, as far as production from the quarterback position. Right now with Peyton Thorne, I think he's solid. I don't think he's dynamic. I think defense has some question marks. I think Ole Miss is elite on offense. I think they're terrible on defense.
Terrible. Okay.
I said it. Terrible.
You did.
I don't think they're very good on defense. Mississippi State, I think they're just solid. I don't think they're great at I don't think they're overly great at anything. I just think they're sound, and they're steady Eddie. So I can see any of these teams having really good years, and it's just a wash for me there.
Yeah, I don't know what you can learn about a team. This isn't you obviously see a different game than I do. My perspective, I just don't know what you can learn about a team when you see them play Middle Tennessee, Mercer, or Western Carolina, Southeastern Louisiana. Who else did they play? Massachusetts.
UMass was okay in spots,
but in my world, I look at those games, I guess because I sat and watched one in person and just said, I'm not sure that there's anything to learn here other than like for the team that I cover, the one thing that I think, and Kiffin has referred to this a couple of times, they didn't coast in the second half. They kind of kept playing, and that's you're trying to build culture, play every play, all that stuff. He got that. But did they find out a lot about themselves? Probably not. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, probably not. I mean, that's the worst team they'll play all year. Mercer would not beat any team remaining on Ole Miss's schedule. They would not beat Tulane, Georgia Tech, ULM. They certainly wouldn't win an SEC game. So
we could take 11 people out of this chat right now and probably go compete.
But you know what I mean? So I don't know what you get. I don't know what you can get out of that. That's why I'm curious to see when some of those teams like I don't know what we're going to learn this week.
All right, here's my example.
As we continue, and this is people say it's cop out. I really don't think it is. What are we going to learn about Arkansas this week against Kent State?
Nothing.
Tennessee against Austin Peay.
Nothing.
Missouri versus Middle Tennessee.
You may learn something,
but not much.
Yeah.
I mean, you might find out that hey, they still have some issues, but
that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, but you're not going to learn anything about LSU this week against Grambling. No. Florida's not going to do anything. Florida's going to destroy McNeese. You're not going to learn anything about that. I mean, you'll find out a little bit about. You probably find out a lot about Wake. Probably some confirmation about Wake. I mean, about Vandy against Wake. You're not learning anything more about Georgia this week against Ball State. You're not learning a damn thing about Kentucky this week against Eastern Kentucky. We'll probably learn a little bit about Ole Miss this week. We'll learn a lot about Texas A&M this week if Miami is as improved. And what we do, and it works though, right, is everyone does this, is these sweeping week when we have buried LSU. They're just buried. I mean, not you and me, but in general, they're buried. They're done. I'm like, okay, well, but what if they're not? Like,
they were buried and done last year. After this game. I
mean, what if they're not? What if they are? Maybe they are, but it's too early to say. We'll find out soon, though. I mean, LSU's got some really tough assignments coming up here pretty quick. They got to go to Starkville next weekend. They've got I think Arkansas, then they go to Ole Miss. I don't have their schedule completely, but I think that's right. I think it's Mississippi State, then Arkansas, then Ole Miss, and then obviously they've got a date with Alabama. I mean, we're going to find out about them, but I'm just not ready to do the bury them thing. And then some of the teams, they get so excited because their team scored a whole bunch of points against nobody. It's like, hey, can we just hold up, right? Just hold up. Like if Mississippi State beats Arizona this weekend by 30-something, you're like, whoa, look out. What is that? But the fact that they destroyed Southeastern Louisiana, here's my point in a nutshell.
Okay.
If LSU had played Mercer or Middle Tennessee or Southeastern Louisiana or any of those teams on Saturday, they would have beaten the hell out of them the way that everybody else did too, right?
That is correct.
You know that. Here's what you don't know, and you don't know enough yet to know. What would Mississippi State or Ole Miss or Auburn or Arkansas, or since we're talking about the West, Texas A&M, hell, even Alabama, what would those teams have done in Orlando on Sunday night against Florida State?
They would have lost.
So would we be burying those teams?
Absolutely.
I guess so. Yeah. And so I look at it and I just think it's all kind of premature. And here's the other part you don't know. We won't know this for a few weeks. It's possible that Florida State's one of the best 3 or 4 teams in the country. And that we look back on that and go, whoa, yeah, LSU got popped, but they got popped by an elite team.
And again, the score got out of hand late. It wasn't indicative at the end. Somebody in the chat, and I want to say what I'm talking. I said that this morning because I work with a bunch of extremely large Ole Miss fans that didn't like my take this morning when we were discussing this morning. And I said this. I said, look. Everybody talks about the first play. It was just one play. It wasn't just one play. Here's the problem with that play. The problem wasn't that he scored. That they busted and all this stuff. The problem was it was a 4.940 at best quarterback that went right through the A gap and ran 75 yards, and not one player on that team could catch him. There were no angles to come get him. There was nobody that reacted, and they let a 4.9 FCS quarterback run right through the A gap for 75 yards, and not one person on SEC defense could catch him. That is a problem because you better have guys in the back end that can go have angles and run guys down. There's this thing called pursuit drill. It occurs every single day. Every single day. They know how to do that. There were no angles. The problem is you have starting corners that look like the 10-man when they're trying to do man turns. Stiff as all get out. And a guy from FCS is running right by him. I can't help that the guard went the wrong direction, and we're celebrating the fact that a 3 technique that was unblocked sacked a quarterback. I can't help that. I've watched the game twice now. And guess what? Mercer doesn't get any better the second time than they were the first time. They don't. There are issues on defense, and it's not scheme. It is personnel related. They don't have enough speed. They're not physical enough, and they're too stiff and not athletic enough to do what's being asked for them to do. And there's no answer. Maybe they get a little bit better. But we will know this weekend. They're going to get tested, but it doesn't matter. They'll stop them enough. They're not going to give up 85 points. What I'm saying is when they go to play Alabama's, LSU's, Arkansas's, maybe Auburn to an extent. They'll look good against Auburn. But when they play teams that can score points, they are going to struggle. Good offenses will run through that defense like shit through a tin horn. That's the truth.
I mean, I can't argue with you because I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's.
I mean, I watched the Mercer game once live. I'm not watching it again. There was nothing.
And don't
to watch.
at me when you hold Tulane to 30 points. Don't at me.
Well, if they give up 30 points to Tulane, they're in trouble. I mean, from a long-term deal.
I'm joking.
I'm in the minority on this. I think Ole Miss is going to win. Maybe I'm not in the minority. I don't know. I don't really talk to many people. I think Ole Miss is going to handle Tulane with relative ease.
They will outscore them. I don't think Tulane can stop Ole Miss.
I don't think it's going to be a super competitive game.
They will.
I actually think the Georgia Tech game will be closer than the Tulane game. But then I don't think we're going to know. And this isn't a knock on Ole Miss at all. I just don't think we're going to know a lot about them until they go to Tuscaloosa. Then we're going to find out a lot. Yeah,
because you ain't going to find out anything on Georgia Tech week. Georgia Tech did play a lot better, but they don't have the people on offense. I say that. They may go score 70. I don't think what they do offensively, it kind of fits. If somebody just lines up and tries, if somebody is one-dimensional on offense, Ole Miss is good enough to slow down a one-dimensional team.
Yeah.
What you worry about is the balanced teams.
But you get what I'm saying. I'm just kind of waiting for the games to come. Like, we're going to find out about Mississippi State next week. LSU's going to come to town. It's going to be that's going to be a test. We'll find out a lot about them. Pick a team in the West. A&M. A&M. Who do they get? Miami this week. So we'll learn a little bit more about them. But A&M's schedule is going to come down to what they can do against, the LSU's and the Alabamas and the Ole Misses of the world.
Yeah, they got.
I mean, that's
they got a big one this week. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, they've got that one. Like Arkansas. Arkansas is going to beat who is it? Kent State. They'll beat Kent State. What are we going to learn about them? Nothing. They're going to beat BYU next week. What are we going to learn about them? Not much. Then we'll find out a whole lot about them when they go. I guess they go LSU first and then A&M, or one or the other. When they play those games, when they play LSU and Texas A&M back to back, we'll find out a whole lot about what they are or aren't.
All right, East, SEC East, shocker, Georgia, but they're beatable. I think you got to find a way to score points. I think they can be slowed down on offense a little bit this year, especially early in the season. But dude, they don't play anybody, man.
Yeah, no, their schedule's very, very friendly.
Extremely friendly. I think they're going to lean on people. They're just going to out recruit people. Georgia East there. I had them at 2 because there's just no. I think the East. I'm a little down on the East. I'm down on the whole SEC if you can't tell. Tennessee. I had to put them at 2. I'm not sold, man. I'm not. I don't. It doesn't look right. I'm just trying to tell you, on offense, it doesn't look right. Joe Milton can throw the ball 100 yards.
Well, again, the people inside that program last year said, hey, we're going to take a step back and then take a big step forward. So maybe this is the step back they referenced.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I talked to people inside that program who said that's what's going to happen. That maybe they were a little ahead of schedule last year because Hooker was so good. And that,
well, you get an appreciation for it, right?
Yeah, and that maybe they would take a small step back. Look,
and it wasn't just him; it was the receivers too. It just didn't.
They're super excited about Nico Iamaleava.
He played a little bit,
and they're excited about the recruiting success that they've had, and they obviously think they are going to have success in the portal, and they're going to give him weapons.
But I think they're going to lose games if they play somebody that can beat them. Like let me tell you what will be a good tell for me. Texas A&M is going to Knoxville.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know if anybody in the East can even challenge them. They're going to have to get their challenges, and they got to play Alabama, obviously. But we know what the result of that's going to be. That Texas A&M game will be pivotal. Understand where they're at, and both teams. I put Kentucky 3rd. There was no reason not to. I'm not.
They were solid.
They were solid, but they. I'm just, you could.
They have a lot of continuity in their program. Stoops has been there a long time.
You can throw these next 3 up and shake them around, but I think I got them ordered right. I would probably, if you argue with me, I could probably say South Carolina, even though South Carolina got manhandled up front. Rattler did throw the ball. They had some guys that can make plays, but I just thought they were manhandled by North Carolina. So I put them behind Kentucky. And then I got Florida, Missouri, and Vandy wrapping it up. I told you I'm not a fan of Missouri right now. They got to show me something. They're going to play Middle Tennessee this weekend. It's a 20.5-point spread. If you told me that Middle Tennessee won that game, I wouldn't be shocked.
No way.
Dude, I watched South Dakota, a 3-8 FCS
Middle
team,
Tennessee
push them around.
Middle Tennessee is not beating Missouri.
Middle Tennessee wasn't all shabby now.
Come on.
Middle Tennessee is not shabby.
Okay.
Now they played Alabama and but they moved the ball. They did good things in that game the other night.
I didn't say they didn't do good things. They're not going to Columbia, Missouri, and beating Missouri. They're just not.
Okay. I'm not saying they are either. I'm just saying if you told me they beat them, I would not be shocked.
I would be flabbergasted.
I would not be shocked. And then Vandy is Vandy. I don't know what's happening with this Wake Forest Vandy line. It's going the other direction. If it keeps, I'm going to take it anyway. You could put that spread at 25. I would take it. Vandy's playing Wake Forest this weekend. I think they get destroyed. I'm just down on the SEC in general. I think that it's very gettable all around the board. I think it's going. I don't know, man. I don't see a completely dominant team right now in the SEC.
No, I think that's more than fair. What Georgia's got going for it is time, talent, schedule. That's what I mean. And they've got time to get better at quarterback.
Yeah, their stuff can get fixed. You know what I mean?
And they've got lots of time
They got
to
lots
do
of
it.
time to
and
do it.
defensively, they're going to be so good that they don't have to become an elite offensive team.
Them and Alabama are very similar. But if you can get into you can win those games in a low scoring game when they play each other. The other ones, I don't know, man. LSU can beat. I think LSU can beat anybody. They got issues like my man Mock 10 Sports and I were talking about this morning. They were talking about the secondary being so bad. And I was like, well, dude, they got Randy Moss trying to jump on them.
But no, it was the one thing that got mentioned. Kelly talked about it in the summer that he was concerned about their secondary play, and it appeared to be a valid concern on Sunday.
Well, if you can't cover, you know what you got to do. If you can't cover, you know what the other.
You got to get to the quarterback.
You got to get to the quarterback before he throws it, and putting
so
four in the middle is
I kind of want to see. I want to see what they look like with Mason Smith. I want to see whether they take this deal with Perkins, trying to make him a traditional linebacker, and go, that doesn't work. Screw it. Let's go back to what he does well, which is see ball, get ball. It's what he did extremely well last year. He was very difficult to handle for a lot of people.
It was very evident in that game very early what LSU's game plan was on defense. They felt they could get to the quarterback with their 4 downs or their 3 downs and whoever the other edge guy was.
Yeah.
And they left Perkins as a spy because Jordan Travis is really good about leaving the pocket and taking off running. And so they thought that they could force him to flush and then Perkins was going to finish it. That was the plan. Did not go to plan. It was like, hold my beer and watch this.
Check out lanceslocks.com. Baseball's in the home stretch, final few weeks of that season. Postseason right around the corner. The NFL season begins on Thursday. We'll talk some NFL in a minute. College football is obviously in full speed ahead. So if you need help handicapping games, lanceslock.com is the best value. It's consistently won for 9 straight documented years. Right now it's the best price of the year. It's lanceslock.com.
All right. So this week in the SEC, I'm just going to preview we'll blow through these. All right. Vandy's at Wake. I got it. It's down to 10.5. Wake is favored by 10.5. Neal, guess what? Ain't nowhere near effing close enough.
Okay.
I just didn't say it. Look.
You did.
Proud of me, Mom. All right. I think Vandy's terrible. I'm taking this game, so it'll be on my picks to make it ring Thursday. I may not have enough picks. Ball State is at Georgia. Georgia is getting 42 points. I'd like to send my condolences to the coaching staff at Ball State and to all the fans of Ball State. Will y'all leave the head coach alone? Just leave him alone. Man had to go out first game, go play Kentucky, and then, hey, that wasn't good enough. So let's game 2. Let's send you to Athens and let you go play Georgia
just brutal.
To start the season. And then they're going to get mad at him if he doesn't win 8 games. Like, he's already starting 0-2. Bless the guy. Yeah, that's rough. Eastern Kentucky at Kentucky, no line. All right, Ole Miss. This is probably one of the first. I think this is on for TV first. Ole Miss is now, unless it's changed since I typed this morning. Ole Miss is a 7.5-point favorite at Tulane.
I'm surprised it's still that low.
I think this thing opened.
It opened at like 3.5, 4, and then it jumped to 6 and stayed at 6.5 for a day. Now it's at 7.5.
I got it at 5.5.
Pratt did not practice today, although Willie Fritz said that he will play.
Dude, he'll be fine.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Just saying.
He
was not available to. He normally is available to media on Tuesday, and he was not available.
Yeah, he got stroked. I'm telling you, the back hit was much worse than whatever ankle issue he has. They'll have him so shot up, Toradol and a roll of tape will cure AIDS. He'll be fine. But look, Ole Miss's defense will get tested this game, but I'm not I don't know.
It's a blowout.
I'm not there. I don't think that Tulane is this great offensive juggernaut that everybody's making them out to be. Ole Miss will stop them enough, and I don't think Tulane can stop Ole Miss on offense. Ole Miss has got elite playmakers. My concern with watching Tulane, now Tulane is good. The only way Tulane stays in this game at all, the only way, is Tulane's defensive line would have to just dominate Ole Miss's offensive line. And they got a couple of really good players.
Yeah.
Because that's what happened to them in the South game, right? The right tackle was getting his lunch ate on everything. They couldn't. They
disrupted everything. They took away. Completely took that passing game of South Alabama's and took it out of sync.
Yeah. Tulane would have to just dominate on their defensive front versus Ole Miss's offensive front to have a chance. And I don't see that happening.
Nope.
And look, I'm not sitting here going, this is going to be a 75-10 game or anything like that. I think this game's probably, they'll have all the momentum. They'll be fired up. Just weather the storm. Once the storm goes over, the better players will take over. I can see this game getting extended in the second half pretty easily because I think that's just how I see it. I think 7.5 is not enough. All right.
This is another one that I don't think's enough. Texas A&M minus 4.5.
Man,
I think they're going to cover this with ease.
I'm having a tough time with this one. I agree with you. I think Texas A&M covers.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they covered easily. But Miami, look, what you thought Miami should, like they quietly, nobody really talked about the game or anything. I watched the game. That was close. They looked much improved. The athletes were playing free, and you could see the recruiting taking shape.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Sure. He's a very good recruiter.
You could see that taking shape.
Cristobal is.
I think they're going to be, especially in the ACC where it's at, I think they're going to end up being okay. I mean, they're going to be much improved this year.
Yeah.
I think all the Mario Cristobal haters will go away this year, and he will be on his way to doing what he's there to do. Is it this week? They are home against Texas A&M. I think it's going to be a good game, but I like where Texas A&M's at right now. Skip my spot there. Kent State at Arkansas. Arkansas is getting 38. So Kent State played UCF last week and lost 56-6.
Yeah.
Okay. 38. I'm not touching it. Number's too big, but they're not winning the game. Arkansas will be fine.
Yeah.
Austin Peay at Tennessee we talked about. All right. Texas at Alabama. Right now I got it at 7, unless it's moved. It's been bouncing around 7.5, 7.
It stayed pretty consistent.
I will probably buy the hook just to buy the hook because I don't like it being on 7. I like 6.5. I think Alabama dominates this game. I've watched Texas twice now against Rice.
You think Alabama dominates Texas?
I think Alabama dominates Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Quinn Ewers had some issues in the pocket. When he sees flash of color, which means he's in the pocket and the ends are racing upfield, he sees flash of color, he thinks he's surrounded, he looks for a way out. He did that the whole game versus Rice, and it got him a little bit. He was able to make some runs and things like that with his feet, but he didn't hang in the pocket like he'd been doing a little bit. He got thumped a little bit. Dude, Bryant Denny will be rolling crazy.
Oh, for sure.
On Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely.
That place will be electric.
It feels like not like a litmus test, but a big moment for Steve Sarkisian because
it is.
It's a big moment for them. They gave Alabama all it wanted a year ago, and then kind of fell off. And there's a lot of hype on Texas this year, and he's recruited really well. And there's expectation, and then obviously next year they're joining the SEC, and so this is a little bit of another. Hey, here's a taste of what's coming. I haven't seen them, so I have no expectations on this game. I did watch Alabama a little bit against Middle.
They look like they did last year. Texas did, but they didn't look as, I don't know. It was almost like they were concerned with the protection. The thing they did a little bit more in this game against Rice, and I'd seen, maybe they just thought they were that much better. They did a lot of max protection route, like 8-man protection, sending out 2 receivers. Did a ton of that in that game.
Yeah.
So you got a team dropping 8 and you're sending 2 out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Alabama rolls in this one. I think this is a dominated game. I think Nick's out to make a statement in this game. All right, Middle Tennessee at Missouri, which we just briefly touched on a minute ago. Look, I get it. Look, Middle Tennessee is not bad, man. I think they got a good team. I'm not all in on Missouri. They got to show me something. I think they were like the most SEC. I'm down on them really as a whole, but if you just made me bet, I'd take Middle Tennessee in the points. I probably won't touch it. But the quarterback play, running back play, and up front play, I mean, what else are we missing? I mean, the only thing their back end's good. They got good DBs. They got good receivers. But if you can't get them the ball, it doesn't matter. You can't protect for the quarterback. It doesn't matter. I'm all in on this one. I think Middle Tennessee is going to give them a little bit more than people want.
Okay.
Grambling LSU, nobody cares. McNeese at Florida, nobody cares. All right, Arizona, Mississippi State. I need to go back and watch Arizona one more time. They played Northern Arizona, NAU. I buzzed it. I didn't really look at personnel. But this being a home game at Mississippi State, a return game, last year Arizona did a little bit better, than they'd done in the past. But this game ended up being about athletes. Last year, I don't think that goes any different in this game.
Yeah,
it's at Mississippi State. You're coming from the dry air of Tucson, coming to the humidity of the South. That combined with athletes, and they're not going to make a mistake. They're very solid. I think Mississippi State probably covers this game.
That's what I think too.
I'm going to watch Arizona one more time. I want to see. I want to watch up front, but initial look, I like Mississippi State to cover. All right, Furman at South Carolina. Nobody cares. All right, this line's dropping. Auburn's favored by 6.5 at Cal. I'm going to be all over this one. I've watched both these games. I only watched the Cal game once. Watched Auburn twice. I don't think they match up athletically. I'm taking Auburn to cover this game. I think Auburn wins this pretty easily. I think this is a 17 to 21 point win for Auburn on the road at Cal.
Wow, that'd be a bit of a statement.
To the public, yes. I don't think Cal's very good.
Okay.
I think that score against North Texas, remember we talked about that North Texas game was more about North Texas getting in 3rd and 27s because they're snapping the ball over the heads and stuff than it was, blowing coverages, guys running uncovered, those kind of things. Athletically, I didn't see it with Cal.
Who's Auburn got next week?
Samford.
Okay.
When they talking about coming back, return trip,
yeah.
I did look at that because I wanted to see a 9:30 game. Dude, they won't get home till
6 a.m., 7 a.m.
Oh, later than that.
Yeah.
It's brutal playing at 9:30 on the coast because you got to think if it's 9:30 on the coast, the game's over at what, 11:30, 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
Our time?
Ooh, later than that. No, it'll be 1 a.m, our time when it's
done.
over. Yeah.
Okay, so it's done at 1 a.m.
So they're not in an airplane until 2:30
You got
or 3.
media, showers, getting to the airport.
Yeah, no, they're 10 o'clock in the morning on Sunday getting back.
Yeah, those are rough trips. But somebody asked me in the thread earlier about, does Ole Miss have the worst defense in the West? I don't. Auburn's got to show me something now. They had holes too now, but they got lucky with a lot of picks and things. I just don't think athletically Cal can attack the issues like Ole Miss may score 70 points when they go to Jordan Hare Stadium. That's gonna be a shootout. Take the over whenever they put the over in that game. Take it.
Arkansas still has to prove itself defensively too. They got a lot of
they just lined up and played and just were better, right?
Yeah.
I want to see them get stretched vertically. Ole Miss will score a bunch. That you're looking at.
For as bad as they were defensively a year ago, they lost a couple of guys that were pretty good players, so they've got to replace those guys. The kid that transferred from Alabama was a really good player for them last year.
Is that Sanders?
Yeah, and then Poole played 17 seasons at linebacker, was very instrumental for them. They have to replace both of those guys.
All right. But they got to show me something too. So they got their own issues to deal with. I just think they're better athletes. All right, national game of interest. I want to get some of your thoughts on this.
Okay.
All right, Notre Dame is going to NC State, and it's really one of the first. I mean, Notre Dame's played Tennessee State, quick glance, and
Notre Dame played the game in Dublin. Yeah, they looked really good.
Didn't think they were very good either. Navy.
Yeah.
And so NC State had a little scare this weekend. They played UConn. UConn's sneaky good.
Yeah.
Struggle, but they ended up pulling away at the end. They're 7.5 point dogs at home against Notre Dame. Interesting game I want to keep an eye on. I probably won't bet it, but I think this is going to be a really good game.
Okay.
Interested to see. And then, they're familiar with the Notre Dame quarterback, considering he was at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
In the same town.
Yeah.
All right. So they're going to know each other. So it's going to be interesting to see there. All right. The big one, the Cy Hawk Trophy is on the line.
Yeah.
For your Iowa Hawkeyes and my Iowa State Cyclones. Your Hawkeyes are getting 4 points.
We're giving 4.
What did I say? Giving?
You said getting.
Getting.
We're
they
giving.
are 4 point favorites.
Yes. 4 point favorites on the road in Ames. Which is a reflection on what the bookies think of Iowa State these days.
Can Iowa score 4 points?
Oh yeah, they can score 4. I mean, they get 5 or 6, but
What, 3 safeties?
a couple safeties,
2 safeties and a field
run a
goal?
punt back. I mean, I do think the question for them, as crazy as it sounds, is can they get to like mid-20s? Because if they do, they're going to win. If they can't, it's going to be close. This game last year was like 10-7. It was super close.
It was like, what was it? We were laughing.
It was actually a really entertaining
great
game
game.
last year.
It was a great game. The under hit was like ease, and the under was like 20.
Yeah,
It was something crazy.
I think it was 10-7 last year. Yeah,
it was something crazy. But look, I'm pulling for my guys at Iowa State. Then for the people who are new here, I'm a big fan of Matt Campbell. I'm biased, so just let everybody know. I'll let you know when I'm biased or not. I am biased. I love my guys, Derek. I like all the guys at Iowa State. I'm a big Iowa State fan. Just good people. All right, interesting game here. The SMU is going on the road to Oklahoma. I didn't know if you noticed, but Oklahoma scored like 764 points last week.
Yeah.
And they did not care. They were just rolling.
No, they were rolling
on. So yeah. I have a friend of mine that coaches at Oklahoma. I text him in the middle of the game and was like, "Are you drunk?" I was like, "Yeah," and I got a response.
Yeah.
In the middle of the game. It was great. Like, geez, McChristmas. Oklahoma looked really good, dude.
They did.
Now they're playing Arkansas State. Arkansas State's down. I want to. SMU. Rhett Lashley has got them. He's done a great job.
He has.
And they're fixing to get serious about some. We're fixing to go back to the old.
No, they're going to
Southwest Conference days.
SMU's going to be really interesting moving forward. This is an interesting game. I mean, I'm inclined to lay the points with Oklahoma, just the way that I think they've kind of figured some things out. They've recruited at a really high level. Dylan Gabriel's healthy and in year 2 and some of that. But look, they're a great story. And they're getting ready to try to – they did the deal with the ACC that they had to do. Got it done. And so they've preserved a spot at the table, if you will.
Yeah, dude.
Here's the other one that you got it written down here. Oregon.
All right, what am I missing?
I don't know. On first glance, I look at this and go, I will lay 6.5 points all day long. Texas Tech, but now Texas Tech's a different team in Lubbock than they are anywhere else. And last week they were in Laramie, and it just didn't happen for them. But look,
I watched Oregon, dude. They look like a well-oiled machine, dude.
Oregon looked really good.
Really
now,
good.
They were playing nobody.
But they look really good.
And they've got, Nix is back, and there's a story about him and how he's just kind of really playing with a clear head and playing with a lot of confidence, and some of the stuff that bothered him last year's gone. It's a very talented roster. He's got weapons all over the place, but it feels like a trap.
I mean, this game's in Eugene. What's the spread? 14? I mean, what are we doing?
Oh, easy, I think. But
I mean, I'm all about giving the 3-point home bump, but at 6.5, I mean, you're giving me the hook.
But look, Texas Tech's they were a good team at the end of last season. I like the coach. They just got popped. It's been a serious week of practice there. This is, again, it's my whole, you can overreact to week 1 and lose a lot of money in week 2.
This is true. I feel like I have to take this game. I have to bet it, but I know, like you talking about a rat line, like I know I'm donating money when I bet this. I know when I bet this, I'm donating money.
There's just a lot of red flags on this game.
I mean, like, dude.
To where I'm just like, nah, I'll pass. I'm not touching that game.
I mean, does somebody have naked pictures of Dan Lanning or something? I mean, what are we doing?
Again, there's just a lot of red flags. They're much better at home. They're going to have a serious week of practice. It's a proud team. They'll show. And
yeah.
It's a long flight for Oregon. It's a weird environment. It's going to be hotter than hell.
Yeah, that one's weird. All right, last one. My Wisconsin Badgers.
Yep.
My fighting Phil Longos. My fighting Jack McNails. My fighting Luke Fickles. We're going on the road to Washington State, and they are favored by 6.5. Man, this has got upset alert all over it.
Yeah.
Because Washington State can score, and Wisconsin will have to run the ball effectively. And I don't know if they have the dudes to do what Phil wants to do on offense, to do the scoring back and forth. Like, this doesn't need to be a track meet.
And Washington State's a lot like Texas Tech. They're one of those teams that
They play well at
in
home.
Pullman, they're a
Yeah.
different team than they are when they're other places.
I don't. If this
and
game,
I know everybody's that way, but some of those
Yeah,
teams
no.
they're extreme in that regard.
like if this game is like hits the over, if the over hits in this game, Washington State will probably win this game outright.
Yeah.
If the under hits, Wisconsin will probably cover. This has to be a.
I don't hate Washington State here.
I know
getting points,
but
at home.
Wisconsin can run the football. They
Yeah.
have to keep this. They have to control the ball. So I'm probably not going to bet it. I will watch it. I'm so interested in that one. All right. Real quick before we get out of here, we spent like a gazillion years talking about college football the last couple of weeks, and you know what comes on Thursday night? Your and I's favorite sport.
Yep.
The National Football League.
Yep.
And we'll breeze through these really quick. Starting off Thursday night, though, the Detroit Lions are going into Kansas City. Kansas City is favored by 6.5 points.
It's a big line.
For the National Football League, that's a big line.
It's a big line. Travis Kelce's questionable, has a knee issue.
Chris Jones is not playing.
It's a big moment for Detroit.
That's what it feels like, right? Like this is a
little
moment.
bit. It feels like a big moment, but it's week one. I mean,
but it's like you almost like it's almost like a small victory for Detroit, because it's like, hey, we recognize you.
Sure.
We're putting you on the national stage, opening night.
Sure.
Of the NFL against the defending champs.
Sure. No, they're a team that benefited greatly from doing the Hard Knocks thing. They gained a lot of fans nationally, kind of casual.
I was one of them.
Kind of casual fans who liked them. They had a really good finish to the season. I don't know how much that carries over from one year to the next, but
they have here's the thing, that they have a maybe, if not one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You got Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery sharing running back duties. I like it, dude. If I bet this game, I will probably take the Lions and the points. That's a lot of points. I think they can, with no Chris Jones, I think they can ball control and keep Mahomes off the field.
Well, I'm damn sure not laying 6.5.
That's just a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of points.
I'm either Detroit or nothing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm even though it's Patrick Mahomes and as great as he is, and he is amazing, I'm just not. I'm not laying 6.5 points in an NFL game anytime soon.
All right, my good friend Chris Kiffin and the Houston Texans will travel to Baltimore to play the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are getting 10 points, which I think, and it's the largest spread of the weekend. 10 points, a lot in NFL, boss.
A ton.
A lot in NFL.
Well, and Cleveland's one of those really interesting teams because so much of this depends on
Texans and the Ravens.
What did I say? I'm sorry. I meant Baltimore is one of the more interesting teams because they had all the offseason stuff with Lamar Jackson. Got it solved, gave him the money. When he's on, there's a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson this year that hasn't been on him in the past. Now you got to live up to the contract. Got
your receivers. Go play.
I think they're going to be a really good team, but 10 points is just too many.
Yeah. I wouldn't be.
The game that I was getting ready to talk about, because you said Chris, and he used to be in Cleveland, is Bengals against the Browns in Cleveland. Cleveland, to me, one of the more interesting teams in the league this year because there's a lot of pressure on Deshaun Watson. After all of that, he's got all the money, and he's moved on from the offseason stuff that gave him a year ago. I didn't think he looked very good at the end of last season. Now, some of that was rust, I'm sure. And then with Cincinnati, a team that a lot of people are picking to win the Super Bowl. How healthy is Joe Burrow?
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's been practicing already, I think.
Yeah, they've got all their receivers back. It's the best offensive line they've played with. They've done a great job in the draft at Cincinnati. They lost the safeties, but they drafted safeties behind them that came in ready to play.
Division game started off.
It's a division game that they typically struggle with. They play Baltimore next week. They started slow last year.
Can't start slow this year.
You can't start slow this year because they want the playoffs to go through Cincinnati. This is one I'll just tell you that I really like. I like Cincinnati minus the 2.5 at Cleveland.
Yeah, shocker. I do too. Again, for new people, these two guys, Bengals fans, so probably betting with their heart and their head at the same time. I just think they win the game, and a field goal usually wins in the NFL. I think 2.5 is not enough. I think they win it by a field goal or more. I think it'll be a close game because it's a divisional game. All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going to Minnesota to play the Vikings. the Vikings -6. I think the Vikings cover, dude.
Yeah, I don't hate that one either. I kind of like.
I think the Bucks are a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah, the only thing you worry about with Minnesota is just regressing to the norm after kind of winning so many close games and staying so healthy last season.
Dude, just close your eyes and throw it to Justin Jefferson. Good things will probably happen.
Amazing player.
Just close your eyes. All right. We don't have Vibin in here today, but this is for him. For the first time in the year 2023, the Tennessee Titans are on the road in New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Aints. The Aints are 3-point favorites at home against the Tennessee Titans.
Kind of like New Orleans -3 here.
I do too. I'm not
big on the Titans at all.
Not big on the Titans right now.
And I actually think New Orleans is going to be okay now. They got to play without Alvin Kamara the first 3 weeks of the season. And that's going to impact their offense a little bit.
Yeah, well, a little bit, but they'll be all right. I just think at home, I mean, here's what you got to do. 22 is getting the ball, or 2. What number is Derek now? Is he 22 or 2? 22. He's getting the ball. Stop him. You win the game pretty easily. I'm going as my man DeMario Davis. See if he can shut it down. All right. You already know where I'm going with this next one. The Carolina Panthers are going on the road to the Atlanta Falcons. I'm glad GJG's not in here today. The Falcons are somehow 3.5-point favorites at home against the Carolina Panthers. I'm taking the Panthers.
Really?
I'm going to bet against. If the Falcons are ever favored in any game except when they play the Cardinals, I'm taking the other way.
Going rookie quarterback on the road.
First start against the Falcons. I'm taking the Panthers +3.5. I'm not even thinking about it.
Okay.
All right. I kind of like this game. I'm interested to see your take on this. I got the Jacksonville Jaguars are 5-point favorites going on the road to the Colts. I think this line is like that because they've struggled in this matchup, right? Yeah. This ain't it, dude.
No, I'm laying the 5.
I'm laying the 5. I think this is the year.
It's a tough assignment for Anthony Richardson in week 1.
Yeah, no Jonathan Taylor.
All assignments are tough, but yeah, this one's tough.
No Jonathan Taylor. I'm all in by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
This next one I think is one of the best games of the weekend. 49ers at the Steelers. The Niners giving 2.5. I'm a little bullish on Pittsburgh. I'm a little bullish on Pittsburgh here.
I'm probably going.
Well, Watt can really disrupt an offense. Pickett's back for year 2. I thought he did some good things last season. It's a great organization.
Yeah,
Mike Tomlin.
No Bosa probably,
yeah.
no George Kittle.
I'm leaning towards this being one of my picks because I'm getting 2.5 points for a home team in an opener. And
I think. Let me look. I wonder if that's a noon game.
I think it is one of the early games.
And there's some kind of crazy stat about
when teams fly
across
the West.
Playing the noon game. It is a noon game.
Yeah.
So, I'm probably not going to touch it, but you know what? If I bet this game, I may just bet the Steelers money line. I probably won't even mess with the points. I think I don't think it's a 2-point game. So that's where I be honest with you, and for people that don't know, where I do well in the NFL. That's always been my thing. When these lines are under 3 points, I don't ever like when I bet my own money. I know we do it for the show and all that stuff, but when I bet my own money, any line that's under 2 points either way, I just pick the winner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if you pick the underdog and they win, you're getting plus money. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so, like, if I bet this game, I wouldn't take the Steelers +2.5. I would just take the Steelers money line.
Let's roll through some of the others.
We got to roll.
Cardinals at Washington. Washington's a 7-point favorite.
That I'll tell you everything you need to know. The Cardinals are tanking this thing, dude. They haven't even named a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Because of competitive reason. This guy, they're out there, man. Yep. This is bad experiment about to
go
wrong.
7 points is a lot of points. The Raiders go to Denver. The Sean Payton era begins. Denver, a 3.5-point favorite. No idea. Rivalry game. I mean,
division rivalry game versus.
I don't know. I wouldn't touch it. Great game here. Miami goes across this country to play the Chargers. The Chargers, a 3-point favorite. Tua versus Justin Herbert. This is a good game. I mean, if you're looking for a 325 game to dial into, this is probably
one of the best games of the week.
Probably the one. Eagles.
What you feel on that one?
I'm inclined to go Chargers at home and lay the points, but if you told me, I wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
Because Miami's capable.
That may be a Dolphins money line for me.
Eagles at Patriots. Eagles a 4-point favorite in Foxborough.
I'm all Eagles on this one.
Yeah, I think I am too. A good game in Chicago. Green Bay starting without the Jordan Love era. They go to Chicago. The Bears giving a point at home in a rivalry game that is typically very close.
They won't touch it.
Aaron Rodgers owned this rivalry.
Yeah, won't touch it. Don't care. I know you're a Bears fan.
Yeah, I'm interested in it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you get with the Bears like you do with the Cubs? If they're good?
No. I don't get with anything the way I do the Cubs.
Okay.
With the possible exception of the Thunder.
Okay. I was curious.
By the way, Sunday morning, seriously, the FIBA championship is at 8:40 in the morning on Sunday.
What the hell is that?
The International Basketball Association.
Okay.
It's a decent chance that it's USA versus Canada. And if that's the case, it's going to be a really good game.
Who's balling for Canada these days?
It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't know Canada was a basketball power.
Then the U.S. team is pretty loaded. It could be if it ends up being that, it could be a really fun game. And if it's not Canada, it will be Luka Doncic.
Okay.
So that's 8:40 in the morning on Sunday. If you're looking for something that morning,
what morning is this?
Sunday. Other than pregame shows.
Dude, I'm going to church, and then I'm coming home and going to the early church, and then going upstairs and going to my cave.
We got
Rams, Seahawks.
Rams at Seahawks. Seattle giving 5 at home against the Rams. I think that tells you a whole lot about what Vegas thinks about the Rams. A good Sunday night game. Cowboys -3.5 in New Jersey specifically to play the Giants.
I will probably take the Giants +3.5.
Yeah.
If I'm getting a hook, I will probably take them at home in a divisional game, getting a hook.
I'm kind of the same way.
I mean, they may lose the game, but I think it's a close game.
And then the Monday night game, Buffalo is at the Jets. The Aaron Rodgers era gets started. The Jets a 2.5-point home underdog.
Whew. That's going to be that line will probably move, I imagine.
I'm not super high on Buffalo going into this season.
They don't have, Von Miller's not playing.
I'm just not super high on Buffalo going in. There are other teams in the AFC that I think are clearly head and shoulders above the Bills.
We'll do Make It Rain Thursday. But if I pick this game, I will probably – that's one of those I would go moneyline Jets if I'm going to bet it.
Okay.
That's all I got today, boss.
All right. We'll be back on Thursday. We'll make our picks. Tyler enters the week 2 with a one game.
2-unit
lead. Is that right?
Yeah, because you were 1-5.
And you were 2 and 4.
You were -4, and I was -2.
Okay.
I was 2 and 4, so I'm -2.
Oh, okay.
You were 1-5.
Gotcha. Right. Whatever. I was thinking about like baseball standings.
I know.
If you're 2 and 4, I'm 1-5. I'm a game back.
Big game though. One game, 2 units.
Yeah.
Coming in hot. We got NFL, so
I'm not
we got
gonna win, so it doesn't matter.
So this week we'll have 11 total bets.
Yep.
All right. We'll have 5 college and a money line, and then 5 NFL. No money line NFL.
Last year, the NFL's what kept me in it for a period of time. I'm awful with college games. I just don't watch it. I need to.
Well,
I need to make myself do it. Here's what's happened to me. It's already happened.
Your Cubbies.
The baseball team that I hate.
You do.
The last few years, they've been out of it by May. And so when football season rolled around, I'm like, oh, I'm not watching baseball anymore. And now they're in it.
It controls your thoughts.
And as much as I try to watch, like yesterday, I was like, hey, I'm going to watch this North Carolina Duke game. Here's what happened to me. I'm going to watch
Clemson Duke.
Yeah, Clemson Duke. I'm going to watch this game. I know I got to talk about it, whatever. And so I looked at my phone, and it had Milwaukee 2, Pittsburgh 0. And so I turned to football. And then Pittsburgh hit a home run.
You got 2 TVs? Just
I was downstairs cooking.
What'd you cook?
I grilled a bunch of stuff. Grilled pork chops and grilled a bunch of stuff for the week. And then, of course, I was out cooking for so long, and it was so hot that I was like, oh, no, I'm not even hungry. You ever done that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen me?
So anyway.
I don't miss a meal.
Yeah. So, anyway, I saw that. Like, oh, it's 2-2 now. And I'm like, I'm going to flip over here for a minute. And then I ended up staying on Pittsburgh and Milwaukee the rest of the way. That's what happened. That happens a lot when the Cubs are going to do this deal or probably get to the last week of the season and break my heart.
No, they're going to get to the playoffs, right?
They're in pretty good shape right now.
It's not like we got a long time left.
They've got they have a pretty decent hold on the second wild card as of this moment.
I think the last episode of Hard Knocks will be on tonight. Have you watched any of the Hard Knocks?
I have not.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I need to go back. It was with the Jets, right?
with the Jets. They
Yeah.
just don't. They definitely made some concessions to get the Jets. Like, you know how you don't have a lot of the meeting room, just the random meeting room cameras that they get the non-scripted moments.
Yeah.
Don't have a lot of the meeting room cameras.
Yeah.
They're very careful on how they, but it's still good.
Yeah.
But it's final episode tonight.
So we'll be back on Thursday. We'll make our picks and
Make it rain.
get you ready for week 2 in the college football season, week 1 in the NFL. Again, we've been brought to you by our friends at Reign Total Body Fuel, 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, 0 sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. So check them out on Instagram at Reign Body Fuel to learn more. For Tyler Siskey, I'm Neal McCready. Until next time, take care.